So, because my upload schedule is like that of a dormant volcano, I figured I'd throw you guys something a little different while contemplating my existence for the millionth time. Speaking of which, work is soul-sucking. I mean, no shit, right? I work a 9-hour job where I bust my ass day in and day out, where all the fun times in personal life fade away to nothingness. The one thing that keeps me energized, well, besides some great friends, solid enough pay, and an awesome girlfriend that I totally didn't make up for the sake of this joke, is music. I may have my soul drained out of my butt day after day, but I'm allowed to play my tunes to keep me going, and also to annoy the hell out of my coworkers. What kind of music? Well, what if I told you someone like Metallica or Red Hot Chili Peppers? Yeah, you know about them. Respectable. How about Nickelback? Yeah, heck yeah, I love Nickelback. Okay, so what about stuff like The Sound of Animals Fighting? Or Aesop Rock? Or Brand New? There you go, and that right there is this video's topic. Why am I doing this? I don't know. Because I felt like it. I just want to talk about some random artists and music that I've been exposed to that I really don't see many people talk about, and reveal how fucking weird my taste in music actually is, in hopes that I can help spread some love to some of these masterful musical artists. Because, spoiler alert, you've probably never heard of a lot of the people I'm going to be talking about in this video. So if I pique your interest and you like what you hear, then please go give them some support. It would mean the world to both me and the artists that make this amazing music. You can find most of them on Bandcamp, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever music sites I can't name off the top of my head if you're interested. Because Lord knows we could use more of these guys, and less of whatever crap Slipknot shoves into our faces. Seriously, why the hell does anyone like them? Their music is ass. Anyways, for those of you who have a dislike about the video and left, after that blasphemous jab, let's get started. So, spoilers for most of the video, but a lot of my tastes come from having been influenced by my older brother. He helped influence some of my gaming tastes with Final Fantasy and old school RPGs when I was younger, but a majority of the music I've started listening to has been because of him, so get ready to hear him reference in this video a lot. He's even got a YouTube channel with his own music that he's made with a bandmate of his, so link to that down below. But fun fact, when I was younger, my mom made me take drum lessons to help me not play video games as much. I think we all know how that turned out. I have no patience for most things as is, and I'd rather listen to music than make it. Kinda sounds ironic that I make YouTube videos as a hobby, but when I was taking drum lessons, against my will, my bro gave me a CD for a relatively obscure band called Matchbook Romance to practice my drums. I would end up losing that CD years ago, so sorry about that, bro. But I later found it on eBay for like $6, and it made me remember just how good this band is. So their first album, Story and Alibis, though still a pretty good album, doesn't hold a candle to their second album, Voices. It's such a shame that they disbanded after Voices pretty much, because they were really starting to find themselves to be something truly special. As you may know, My Chemical Romance is a band that sounds cringe edgy, but Matchbook Romance went from good but generic edge rock with edgy lyrics to just straight up sounding like the darkest shit you've ever heard rock. Even though they sound like a My Chemical Romance wannabe, chances are that even if you've never heard of them or listened to their albums in full, then you at least know about their hit song, Monsters. You've definitely heard this song if you're a massive fan of Guitar Hero 3. With crazy emo lyrics that will make wrist slitters drop MCR like a loved one's ashes, with some of the most badass guitar breakdowns I've ever heard in an album. Like, some of the lyrics are just straight up dark. I mean, obviously that's nothing special because most metal bands out there have dark and edgy lyrics, from You Can Run But We'll Find You to the softer songs like I Wish You Were Here. Every song here sounds remotely distinct, and it's hype-inducing and edgy every single time. Now, this is setting me up to sound like a Hot Topic shopping piece of shit, and that's because it is. You really have to listen to it to truly understand the emo social life, and I highly recommend you do so. They're not on Bandcamp, which is truly unfortunate, but you can find their albums for super cheap on eBay. Pay up some dirt poor prices for something that's worth more than gold. Thanks, bro. Couldn't have picked a better first album to expand my taste than this one. Speaking of Matchbook Romance, I bought their first album, Stories and Alibis, on eBay a few months ago for like $5. By itself. So, I guess I won some Upper Deity's favor that day because the person I bought it from sent me a second CD for free. But this one was from a band called National Product. Now, if you thought that Matchbook Romance was obscure, just like a lot of the bands on this list, honestly, well, you'd be right. But these guys, honestly, I'd never heard of them before, neither had my brother. So I figured I'd give them a shot. I mean, I'd feel bad if I didn't. That's like if I bought a pizza, but got a box of fudge bars for free from said pizza place and didn't eat them. And these guys are I mean, they're okay, I guess. I mean, I know that sounds a bit harsh, but they're a perfectly solid band overall. Honestly, I wasn't even gonna talk about them until I got my Matchbook Romance album package deal. They've got some solid songs on their only album that's worth listening to, and I guarantee that modern Sonic fans watching this right now will love these dudes, because some of their songs sound like they were straight out of the Sonic Heroes era. I mean, just listen to Collision for a second. See what I mean? It took a bit of time for them to grow on me, but I felt like I should shout them out regardless if I was making a music video. Now, Matchbook Romance may not be on Bandcamp, but be on Spotify and Amazon. These guys are somehow on Bandcamp and on Spotify, where, funnily enough, I discovered that they made more than one album, and yeah, it really made me appreciate Luna way more because... On the line again, going nowhere. Man, that's rough. So give them a shot if you're interested. Preferably Luna, because... no. And speaking of bands I didn't think I was going to talk about, I discovered a couple of obscure metal bands while letting Spotify play random bullshit while I was at work one day. Those bands being Enemy, Villain of the Story, Under Oath, Conquer Divide, and The Wise Man's Fear. Now, I'm not going to spend much time talking about them here because I just don't have as much to say about these bands at all. Because one, I literally just discovered them as I was writing the script, and two, they're about the same. They're all emo, metal, rock, grunge bullshit that you're probably expecting from me. They're nothing special in my opinion, but they're solid enough rock bands with some mildly distinct flavors to them, and they can really scratch that metalcore rock itch if you're looking for something different. The standout band here, on the other hand, is Conquer Divide. The best way to describe them is if Barlow Girl added 2 members and went through a goth phase. I now realize it's a pretty bad analogy because who the hell watching this is gonna know about Barlow Girl? Basically, they stand out in this segment because they are an all-female rock band. They've only done one album, and that album is the most annoying thing in the universe to try to get your hands on. Seriously, I love your album, so why the hell did you think it necessary to make getting a physical copy of the CD harder than a stone golem's erection? But I digress. They only have the one album so far, but they've done a ton of solos that are on Bandcamp. They even did rock covers of Santa Tell Me, Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran, and Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. They're all pretty solid covers, except Bad Guy because I hate Billie Eilish's music, and even these ladies can't save that shit from mediocrity. So all in all, give them a look if you're interested. Every single one of these guys is on Bandcamp for purchase and support. And hey, if you can fucking believe it, Conquer Divide announced yet another album while I was in the middle of recording this and try to date me. That's fantastic. Hopefully some of the other bands I've already talked about on this video will create more albums as I'm working them to try to date the video even more. I swear to God, someone up there in heaven is trying to fuck me over. So, one time my bro lent me and my roommate his entire collection of CDs to try and help expand my music taste. And I'd say that it worked, for better or worse, as this video had no indication of that. He had like a crap ton of stuff from like Ed Sheeran and all this other stuff on screen, but one CD I saw was titled There Be Squabbles Ahead by Stolen Babies, and I was like, what the hell? So this next band is very, very weird. Now, I know the title Stolen Babies is a bit bizarre, and it is, but please do hear me out first before you say any judgments. Stolen Babies is classified as experimental rock, or you could just say emo bullshit that was heavily influenced by the likes of Oingo Boingo, Mr. Bungle, Cop Shoot Cop, and Fishbone. All of those are artists with equally ridiculous names that I had not heard of prior to doing research for this video. Fuck research, am I right? I'm lazy. But I gotta say, these music videos are pretty weird. I think what really drew me to this band, besides the name being weird as all hell, and the fact that it's literally just emo bullshit, is that it feels very Tim Burton-esque. Like, you could slap one of these songs onto a scene from Nightmare Before Christmas or Corpse Bride and you wouldn't really question it. Yeah, go ahead and put one of these songs on while you're watching Coraline and tell me how well it fits. Okay, fine, I really like it because it's just emo bullshit. This band just reeks of wrist-slitting energy with songs like Second Sleep, Grubbery, the entirety of Not now that I think about it. Plus, the lead singer plays the accordion. Only other artist besides Weird Al that uses an accordion that I'm aware of anyway, so at least it's very distinct. Sadly, they've only done 2 albums, There Be Squabbles Ahead and Not. And no, fuck EPs, I haven't listened to this one, it doesn't fucking count. They're both really good albums with comparable quality, is what I would say if Not didn't have the birthday song. I dare you to go on Bandcamp and listen to Never But Come Back, see how edgy that bullshit is, then immediately listen to the birthday song without bursting into tears from laughter. That last album was back in 2012, by the way, and while I did 2 original songs that you can find on Bandcamp, it seems like the chances of a new album anytime soon are very slim. But who knows? I hope they pop something out that will really impress me. Nothing will be better than the birthday song though, that shit's masterclass. The fact that the most viewed video about these guys on YouTube is a clip from a stupid sitcom that nobody cares about is honestly depressing. So this band I got into, just like Stolen Babies, was because of my brother. In fact, I heard of this one way back in the day, but didn't really get back into it back then because I was a fucking snob. Jared Gorbel is an alternative rock artist that has done a lot of work throughout his career. He's done a ton of stuff on Bandcamp under his own name, and that's all pretty good shit, but the focus for this segment is on his unfortunately short-lived band, The Honorary Title. Honorary Title is an alternative indie band hailing from Brooklyn, New York, starring Jared Gorbel as the lead singer. Before we start, fair warning, these albums do tackle some downer subjects such as depression, failed relationships, family issues, etc. And now that sounds a bit too much, honestly I completely understand, but what I personally like about this band in particular is how calm and contemporary they are compared to a lot of the music I prefer listening to. Like, on some days I like my songs screaming about being an all-powerful wizard, or girly Japanese music that gets people to stop what they're doing for a second. Then there's those days where I just want some songs that can put me in a very feelsy mood. Like, sometimes you can just want things in media that make you feel calm or even sad. And I can't think of a band that I like that manages to do just that. I mean, they have their fast, high-energy songs, and I like those quite a lot. But there's songs like Everything I Once Had and revealing too much about suffering from breakups or severe depression, while also being pretty catchy. You know, in retrospect, I think I have issues. Now, I said that these guys weren't around for very long, and I mean it. They only did 2 albums, a couple side things, then disbanded in 2009, 2 years after Scream and Light Up the Sky. Jared Gorbel is still active as far as I know, doing his own stuff on Bandcamp under his own name, for you to go ahead and check out if you happen to like The Honorary Title. Fun fact! My brother has a signed copy of Anything Else But the Truth, so suck it to all the people who care, I guess. And while I'm on the topic of alternative indie bands, I discovered yet another alternative rock band in the midst of writing, Icarus the Owl. I swear, this is gonna be the last one I'll squeeze in here, but it meets the criteria of being fucking boss, and I'd feel bad if I didn't talk about them real quick. Yet again, my brother recommended these guys to me one day after I asked for some music suggestions on Bandcamp, and he responded with, oh god. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he really liked music. They were the first, and only, band from that list I've checked out, and I clicked with them quite well. Seems like my brother knows my music taste or something well after all. They sound a bit more upbeat and energetic than The Honorary Title, but they do have similar tones and lyrics, so they're another one I happily recommend. Again, go on Bandcamp and check them out. Their third album in particular, Icarus the Owl from 2014, is an album so good that it slaps harder than an angry housewife. Unfortunately, the band is currently on hiatus as they've been inactive since 2018, so there's a pretty strong chance that they're not going to be coming back, but here's hoping that they come back stronger than ever. So we've talked about hardcore metal bands, an indie band, weird accordion Tim Burton albums, but what if I told you that there was a band that combined all of those alongside sounding like it comes out of a video game? Minus the accordion, of course. What? That sounds like a terrible idea, you say? Well, so did Suicide Squad from 2016 and... oh, okay, never mind, that's a pretty bad example. But honestly, I like the Bunny the Bear. Now, I talked about other rock bands that are pretty similar, so why do these guys get a free pass? Honestly, I heard them first. Wow, great criteria, bro. Why don't you just add Imagine fucking Dragons on here? Yeah, there's nothing really special compared to the rest of these guys. I just wanted to use this video as an excuse to talk about some underrated bands, and the Bunny the Bear is not exactly super obscure. I mean, they don't have the numbers of Metallica, but they do have a solid enough following to not be quite considered obscure. My brother introduced me to these guys, even though he isn't into them personally, because he doesn't like the chiptune style of music. So then why the hell did you introduce them to me in the first place, bro? Riddle me that shit! So, these guys are a metalcore band with hints of synth pop, metalcore, experimental rock, alternative rock, and electronica. That sure is a lot of shit for one band. And speaking of shit, if you thought that insert band I've never heard of here had a harsh history, well, you're probably right. But doing research for these guys was honestly a little depressing. The Bunny the Bear stars Matthew Tybor as the Bunny and Chris Hudka as the Bear, or at least the first 5 albums did anyway, which is the focus of this topic. Throughout the years, though, Chris had attempted to lead the band several times throughout the first 4 years of the band's life due to major disagreements with the other band's mates and a recurring drug addiction, only for him to permanently leave after the 5th album, Food Chain, where he unfortunately died in 2021, which hurts pretty bad, honestly, because he made the band as good as it was in my eyes. You would think that the bunny was the one singing the clean vocals, and the bear, Chris, was doing his impression of a man gargling frogs to impress his girlfriend. You know, like a demented bunny and bear. But no, it's Chris who's the one who's doing the clean vocals for most of the songs, even though he does like to scream, and Matt's the one who's slurped up a pond full of tadpoles and he's really unhappy about it. And Chris is the one that makes the band, in my opinion, a reason why I never fully listen to anything after Food Chain. I know this is a bit of a touchy subject to compare nowadays, but it's like not having Justin Roiland for Rick and Morty after season 6. It's not bad, probably, but it's just not the same. That, and I honestly kind of hate the direction they went afterwards. The band has had 4 different people play the bear, and they all had their own distinct flavors, but like I said, it's just not the same without Chris. Though that seems to be a minority opinion, as a lot of people seem to really enjoy the later stuff. So what makes the band stand out from every other metalcore album so far is the use of electronic synth pop to get the band a very dubstep feel. Or if you want to compare it to something that people would be more familiar with, they're basically Electric Callboy, but way edgier. Like, you could slap some of the electronic breakdowns on top of a video game and it would fit pretty well, barring the super dark lyrics about depression and other touchy subjects that'll get the YouTube police on my ass. Depressing as all hell on the inside, but catchy as fuck on the surface. If I had to recommend anything from the band, their first album is on Bandcamp, so that's an okay starting point, I'd say, but if I had to recommend my favorite stuff of theirs, I'd highly recommend If You Don't Have Anything Nice to Say or Stories. That's my plug for Chris. Rest in peace, dude. You sang some deep shit, but you had the voice of an angel. So now we're on to the big 4 of this video. These 4 are some of my favorite bands of all time and the ones I look forward to whenever their songs come up on random. Normally I save my favorites for the top 3 of the video, but I'm going to be describing these next 3 as the big C's. Because only 3 out of these bands start with the letter C. That's, really the best I can come up with, so fuck you if you don't like my video. So first of all, Closure and Moscow. Of the rest of the 4 on this list, I'd easily say these guys are the most criminally underrated. Like, oh, come on, what the fuck, y'all? I guess people just don't like good music anymore. So Closure and Moscow is a progressive rock band from Australia that was heavily influenced by the likes of the Mars Volta, Circa Survive, and Coheed and Cambria. Their first 2 albums are pretty solid work, but not what's the main topic here. They're pretty good albums, don't get me wrong, but they don't really sound anything unique if that makes sense outside of the very funky lyrics. I mean, I know there's First Temple, but like that's, again, not the focus of the video, shut up. But this right here is the main reason Closure in Moscow is as good as they are. This isn't my favorite band ever, as they'd be at the end of the video if they were, but if I'm being honest, if I had to pick my favorite album of all time, this is it. What, you waiting for a punchline? I'm dead serious, I love this album. Every song on this album is a certified banger. After First Temples, it feels like they did a fuck ton of drugs and just made songs about whatever the fuck they wanted. They wanted to make a song about boners, smoking, and Robo-Jesus? Fuck it, song about boners, smoking, and Robo-Jesus. Pink Lemonade, that Brahmatron song, Happy Days, Church of the Technochrist, yeah, that song. And I'm not gonna try to pronounce that shit. Everything on this album is just fantastic. Everything just breaks the scales. It just fucking breaks it. It's not 10 out of 10. This is like 50 out of 10. But the magnum opus of this beast of an album is a song that most artists could dream about making. A song so legendary that it purposely excludes itself from Best Songs award shows to make the competition fair, because otherwise it would just win every year. That song is Dinosaur Boss Battle. Everything I said about the birthday song applies here, except unironically. I love this song so much. The slow build-up, the guitar, the dinosaur shit, the choruses, the dinosaur shit. I mean, you gotta go on a journey and meditate under waterfalls for 50 years and shit in order to understand the meaning and deepness of this masterpiece of a song. Every song wishes it could be as masterful as Dinosaur Boss Battle. Other bands would cancel themselves. They would have to create an award category called Best Song That Isn't Dinosaur Boss Battle if it was allowed to enter contests. Fuck you if you don't like this song. Only superior beings on Earth can see the majesty in the lyrics and majesty of Dinosaur Boss Battle. Best song of all time. Don't at me about that because I will 100% ignore you. Can you sniff out that this was the inspiration for the video? Seriously, a top tier album across the board. As I said before, everything on this album is at least an 11 out of 10. Except Dinosaur Boss Battle, that shit's better than Metal Kirby. But honestly, I can't say that Closure in Moscow is my favorite band if only one album carries it for me. This was released back in 2014, and it seems like they were just dead after 9 years of silence. But hey, as I was thinking of the topic, they announced another album called Soft Hell, which may or may not already be out given my slow video creating process. They've only released 2 songs for Soft Hell, Better Way and Primal Sinister, with this weird YouTube poop level CGI fuckfest with the pot of great. And why is there the morphing jar from Yu-Gi-Oh but not the Spirit of the Pharaoh? And if the rest of the album is just as good as these 2 songs, then consider me hyped. Yeah, okay, fine, this is the main reason I started writing for this topic. They're on Bandcamp, and they have the greatest song ever. If that epic raving I did just a few minutes ago didn't sell you, then, go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore. So it's one thing for music to be really catchy and be able to distract you while you're doing chores, but one particular thing I like about music is how well it's able to tell a story within the span of 3 to 5 minutes. Or in some cases, there are songs in the length of the double digits. But what if I told you there was a band out there where all of their albums are part of a fictional narrative akin to an edgy Star Wars about a psycho brother that kills people? I mean, that sounds incredibly specific, but this band is just that: Coheed and Cambria. So of the bands on this list, they're undoubtedly one of the oldest and one of the most well-known. They obviously don't have the numbers of Lady Gaga or Shit Not, but they're Big Bang Theory levels of famous compared to stuff like the honorary title, which makes the video almost straight up clickbait, so, thanks for the clicks, assholes! This is another progressive rock band hailing from New York that has been around for nearly 30 years? God damn. This is another one I discovered thanks to, big shocker, my brother. The story is we were on a long-ass drive to spend Thanksgiving with our folks, and he popped a song from Coheed and Cambria, and I've been hooked ever since. It's obviously more edgy crap like everything else on this list, but the interesting thing about their music is that it's all part of a fictional space opera story by lead singer Claudio Sanchez. It's a story about the 2 titular characters, Coheed and Cambria. Kill Ganon? Damn, I didn't know they were survivors of Ganon's attack in Ocarina of Time or Elite Smash Warrior haters. Just learn the matchup, bro. This is a gaming channel if you're new here, by the way. And it all spans throughout multiple comics, and it's all interesting, intense stuff. That's what I've heard anyway. What, you think I have any spare time to read this shit? I'm lazy. But that's what the music is for. Not only is the music really catchy rock with Claudio Sanchez's godly voice, they all tell the events of the Armory Wars and the characters within. And that's the thing, Claudio has such a wide range that he can sound as calm as a whispering lover or as deranged as an insane psycho that it helps you get into the mindsets of the characters in the story. So, with that in mind, where would a good starting point be for newcomers? Well, Turbine Blade is their first album ever, and I'd recommend it exclusively for the story. Or just read a plot synopsis of Turbine Blade and go straight into Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, because Turbine Blade, well, let's just say you can really tell that this one in particular suffers from first project syndrome. In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth is from 2003, but honestly, I think their older stuff from Silent Earth to No World for Tomorrow has aged exceptionally well, even better than their new stuff, and I can't recommend it enough. In fact, it's in this era where their most famous song comes from, Welcome Home, the magnum opus that symbolizes the band as a whole, in my opinion, and also the only reason anybody remembers the movie 9. The slow plucks of the guitar strings at the beginning to the grand breakdown with the drums and the guitars that go on for a solid minute, it's a fantastic song, and it's in their third album, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness, which I would happily call their best album. Everything in this album is a certified banger. Honestly, the worst song, Always and Never, is still an 8 out of 10. Everything else is at least a 10 out of 10 at worst. Though they're no Dinosaur Boss Battle level, though to be fair, nothing is as good as that. Seriously, give them a shot if you can find their stuff. Though, fair warning that everything they do after the Aftermath does start to slip in quality, and Window of the Waking Mind, their recent album, isn't even Coheed and Cambria anymore, and especially give the Armory Wars a read. And please let me know if it's a good read in the comments down below. Again, you think I got any spare time nowadays? I'm fucking lazy. And finally, the third C, and it's one I literally just brought up as an inspiration for Closure in Moscow. It's Circa Survive. You'll likely have noticed that these bands have gotten less and less obscure as things go on, as Circa Survive is actually quite well known in the indie band group. And spoilers, it's not even the most popular band on the list. So first of all, I will say that out of all the bands on here, Circa Survive is Probably the biggest acquired taste. I mean, music in general is obviously subjective. I'm not the biggest fan of stuff like the Gorillaz or Rob Zombie, but tons of people like them for a reason. But the reason I say this has to do with the lead singer, Anthony Green. I say this because some of his vocal recordings and some of his songs can potentially turn people away. Here's a quick example from Dissensus. Yeah, if that sounded just a bit irritating, then I would totally understand if you didn't want to listen to the band anymore. As for me though, obviously I love this band. Circa Survive is a band formed by said lead singer, Anthony Green, back in 2005, starring other band members from other old bands such as This Day Forward and Taken. It's interesting researching this band for the first time for the video, especially because research is a gigantic pain in the ass. Again, I'm fucking lazy. As Anthony has also done many side projects across the years alongside Survive, like Sausin, The Sound of Animals Fighting, and holy shit, that's a lot of shit, and LS Dunes, teaming up with members from My Chemical Romance, Thursday, and even Coheed and Cambria. There's tons of influence from many other bands on this list, but they were also influenced by Deftones, Thrice, Paul Simon, Dredge, Bjork, and even by Nirvana. So if you like Nirvana, then you might honestly enjoy this band, and I hope so because this is my favorite indie band for sure. The music is obviously more progressive rock with more electronic tones to help get the music a bit of an interesting vibe. Anthony Green carries the music as his voice has a wide range, allowing him to scream like he's being chased by an angry hippopotamus, or calm as if he were embracing a lover. The instrumentation can also be quite trippy and otherworldly, especially in his later albums like Violent Waves, The Amulet, and Two Dreams, where some songs can make you feel like you're floating through a galaxy and seeing stars, giving a relaxing feeling. Which is probably why this band has a following of people who like specific forms of relaxation. The lyrics are just weird as shit. I don't know what to say. Listen, I'm not exactly a music critic, I don't know if you could tell, but I love this band so much. If I had to recommend anything from Circa Survive, I'd say all of it. There isn't a single bad album in this entire band's career. You want loud bombastic rock? You've got Juturna and On Letting Go. You want slower, more melodic rock? You have The Amulet and their last album, Two Dreams. If I had to rank this band's albums from least favorite to my favorite, it would go as such. Juturna is solid for what it is, but I just prefer everything else they have to offer. Plus, you can definitely tell this is the band's first project, as it is kinda rough around the edges. On Letting Go has my favorite artwork on any album I've ever seen, but again, I do prefer the overall later works for the slower songs. Violent Waves is one I've honestly liked less and less as time goes on. It has a couple bangers like Bird Sounds and Sharp Practice, but some that I do find to be on the lower end of the spectrum. Dissensus was my first exposure to the band, and I owe a great deal of respect to it for that, but like I said, I do prefer the later works overall. But in spite of that, Blue Sky Noise is by far my favorite of the original trilogy for its strong quality and lyrics, as Anthony himself wrote the lyrics while he was staying inside a mental health facility for 3 weeks, which ended up with a very strong album in the end. The Amulet is where my preferred style of Circa Survive music manifests, as it has one of my favorite selections of songs in the entire catalog, as well as one of my favorite songs of all time, Flesh and Bone. And finally, Two Dreams. Probably some recency bias showing here, but since the band has finally decided to go on an indefinite hiatus after this one, they had to end on a strong note. And, well, what do you know? They kinda did. Everything in this album has everything that made every other album of theirs all in one package. I'm honestly sad to see the band go, as I was really starting to fall in love with the band ever since last year, as it was the first band to give me that feeling in a long time. Bro, thanks for introducing me to Circa Survive. Couldn't have picked a band better than this. Or maybe you could. You influenced my music taste quite hella, obviously. So please, please, please go check this band out. It would mean a ton to the both of us. And finally, we arrive at what is currently my favorite band of all time. I mean, at least as of right now, as that may be Circa Survive after a few years ago, or Closure of Moscow, depending on when this video goes up. There's tons of other bands I could have talked about for this video, like The End, Killswitch Engage, The Sound of Animals Fighting, but I haven't heard of every band in existence, so feel free to name drop some in the comments that I never talked about, and maybe I'll check them out. This video originally started as a music dissection to talk about some of my favorite bands, but decided to talk about some very underrated bands because, I mean, who the hell has heard of all these guys besides me and my brother? but honestly, you're gonna have to bear with me on this one, as this last one is by far the most popular band on the list, even though I've bended the rules enough to make the rules look like a fucking pretzel. So before that, this is a countdown channel after all, so if I had to rank these 14 bands from least favorite to my favorite, it would go like this. Under Oath only has one album, and with one good song being the exception, this band isn't that good in my opinion, at least not right now. I mostly put them on here to spread awareness of people who would enjoy them, but they're not for me, honestly. Hey, Editing Yojimbo here, so before any of you guys jump down my throat for that jab, I want you to know that I only listen to Erase Me on Bandcamp, and like a dumbass, I didn't even know that they've been doing albums ever since 1997. So this low placement is exclusively for this one album, not for the band in general. I'm pretty sure the band is good. I haven't heard any of their other works besides Erase Me, so please don't murder me in the comments. This is precisely why you do research on stuff you talk about before you finalize a script. Don't be like me, I'm a fucking dumbass. Enemy is a little better, but only because their other album is better consistency, but they're just okay. National Product may only have one good album as far as I'm concerned, but that one album has really grown on me during the writing process. Next is The Wise Man's Fear, and I gotta put a caveat on this one, as I do think that this band could climb higher in my ranks as I listen to more of them. Villain of the Story has a good amount going for them, but I only just discovered them, so I can't rank them too much higher than here for now. The Bunny the Bear isn't close to being my favorite band of all time, but they do have a ton of bangers that has made me glad I discovered them, courtesy of my brother. Even though he doesn't like them personally, still can't get over this shit. Conquer Divide only has one album, at least right now, but damn do I really like their work. Only band that can make Billie Eilish's Bad Guy song not sound like complete shit. Stolen Babies is carried by The Birthday Song, and they have two very good albums, but that's just it. I wish they had more. Icarus Owl is brand new to me, just like a couple other albums, but I really love their work. Yes, I'm a hypocrite, try to ignore what I said earlier. The honorary title is just fantastic. Go check them out, please. Closure of Moscow. Dinosaur Boss Battle carries his band at #1, easily best song of all time. I can't wait for Soft Hell. Nah, it's because Pink Lemonade is top 1, while the other albums are solid. Number 3 is Coheed and Cambria, and then the runner-up is Circus Survive. But as for number 1, fuck the rules, I fucking love this band, I'm gonna talk about them and spread more awareness. It's Nightwish, baby! Yeah, you all thought that one joke from my Smash Bros video was just a throwaway gag, but nah, bruh. This is my favorite band of all time, hands down. So obviously, this band is not anywhere close to being as obscure as something like The Villain of the Story or Closure of Moscow. But honestly, I just want to talk about them, and you can't fucking stop me. My video, my moment. So this band is one I first heard about from YouTube memes. Yeah, the Ghost Love Score meme. You've probably heard of this meme at least once or twice back in the early 2010s era, such as...
So you return to a checkpoint. You have no ammo left. You have to waste even more of your time to get all of that ammo back.
So, the one band on this list I didn't hear about from my brother. Don't worry, you can put the shot glasses down. So, Nightwish is a symphonic folk metal band hailing all the way from Finland, of all places, starting all the way back in 1996 with Angels Fall First. Obviously, they were a super niche band that saw mild success in their home regions, but never got any overseas success until their 5th album, Once, which this is the album to thank for this. And it was all done by their first of 3 lead singers, Tara Turunen. By the way, I'm so sorry if I butchered any names during this segment. It's gonna happen a lot, so get used to it. Where she started when she was 19 with 5 great albums under her belt, with the second and third singers, Annette Olsson and Floor Hansen, only doing 2 albums each. Personally, I love the music that Nightwish has given us, even though I don't particularly agree with the reasons for getting rid of Tara, separating the artist from the art, of course. And that art is just fantastic. Honestly, the genre has been pretty consistent throughout the band's life, but each singer brings some slightly different flavors that give each album its own identity. Tara's soprano singing gives her work more of an operatic feel. Honestly, you can reasonably see them at an opera show. Hell, some of these songs will work well as a boss battle themes in video games. Like, just listen to a couple songs on top of this Soulsborne footage. I rest my case. While both Annette and Floor's styles are just a tad bit less distinctive, as their albums have very similar styles, even though their work is still very strong overall. Honestly, having to pick which of the eras I prefer is borderline impossible. That's like trying to pick my favorite Zelda game. Please don't make me do that, they're all so dear to me! If I had to though, the gaps in quality between them is about as slim as a Twizzler rope, so I don't see much point overall, as it's all top tier stuff is what I'm trying to say. Every album has at least one song in it that gets the blood pumping like nothing else. Passion in the Opera and Walking in the Air, masterpiece. Wanderlust, Deep Silent Complete, and Kinslayer, masterpiece. End of All Hope, Feel For You, and Dead to the World, masterpiece. Ghost Love Score, Nemo, and Wish I Had an Angel, masterpiece. Storytime, Last Ride of the Day, and Imaginarium as a whole, fucking masterpiece. The Carpenter... Okay, bad example, that song kinda sucks. And whenever Over the Hills and Far Away starts playing, then you know it's fucking party time! As for my album ranking, Angels Fall First is a solid introduction, but it has the weakest lineup of songs overall. Elven Path and Nightwish are some of the best ones though, but this is the only album to have any song that I would like legit call bad. Carpenter! Human Nature has at least a 7 out of 10 collection of songs, but nothing truly outstanding compared to the rest of Nightwish's catalog. Oceanborn followed by Wishmaster are very solid ups of Angels Fall First. Endless Form's Most Beautiful is next, so this is the statement saying that Floor's music is overall my least favorite. Now again, it's by very little, her work is still really good here. Dark Passion Play is where you can tell that Tara's absence heavily influenced some of the lyrics in songs like Poet the Pendulum and Bye Bye Beautiful. So, a pretty solid album with a tinge of dark history. Century Child and Especially Once are Tara's best works by far, so she went out on a high note for sure. And finally, Imaginarium is easily their best work by fucking far. It has the best songs and shows off the majesty of Nightwish as a whole the strongest. Obviously that's up for debate, but that's why I still love this band. I know it's easily the most popular band on the list, and shouldn't really be on here, but honestly, ask 10 random people on the street about Nightwish, and the response will more likely be, who? Never heard of them, I have pepper spray, and fuck Hero! I'm so sorry, allergies. That's why I felt the need to add them regardless. And if I can get at least one person interested in their music, let alone any of the bands on this video, then I can fall asleep tonight content. I'm the Austin Miyajimbo, and thanks for watching all the way, and I'm so sorry if I sounded extremely unprofessional when talking about music. I'm not a music reviewer, I don't know if you could tell. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.
one more time.